Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Sports Simulation Spectator. My name is Michael Green, and today we are going to take a look at the tournament module of Let's Play Tennis, utilizing the all-time great Tennis Stars set, a collection of 64 tennis players dating back as far as 1968, when the Grand Slam tournaments finally allowed pros to play in it. Like I said, my name is Michael Green. I play tabletop sports games and video games and all that jazz, whatever comes to the table. But today we are going to be taking a look at this tournament module so that you can learn how to play the tournaments in the game. We're not going to be doing a point by point today, but we are going to be looking at the tournament module as well as the for the set module and the no rally module to get a consensus winner in this tournament. So let's take a look and go down to the tabletop. All right, so we have got our tournament field here. I am going to put out a disclaimer right now. I am very aware on the website it explicitly states the following disclaimer. These cards are not rated for play across genders. Men are rated versus men and the women are rated versus women because the cards are built around the statistics that the players have generated over their careers. So they are not going to be equal ratings in cards just because of the variations in their stats and how they've been compiled. But we are going to run a theoretical tournament here using these cards. So we're going to be looking at a tournament. There are 64 cards in the deck, just so you can get an idea of what these cards look like. They are beautiful green cards. The women are red and the men are blue. The very first thing you need to do when you are running a tournament is pull out the top seeded players. In the upper right hand corner of each card, you see values. Here on Jimmy Connors, you see he's got a 1B. If you look at Billie Jean King, she's a 2A. Stan Wawrinka is a 4B. The way that the ratings end up working is a 1A is better than a 1B, which is better than a 2A, which is better than a 2B, and so on and so forth. So in this case, you're going to we're looking to break our group of tennis players down to 32 players based on the pool of players that you're starting with. I've gone through and pulled the top players out of this deck of cards. We have Roger Federer, Steffi Graf, Serena Williams, Novak Djokovic, and Rafael Nadal. Obviously, we cannot have 5. That is not 5. So we're going to take these men and we're going to randomly shuffle them up, and we're just going to pull one guy out. I recognize that since I'm playing with the 64 players and I'm shuffling them in, that there's a chance that we're going to have another 1A here in the deck that's going to make the deck look stacked. But again, this is a exercise that we're going through, not necessarily something where I'm anticipating a particular winner or not. So here's our shuffle. Our one man that is going to be going into the regular deck is going to be that guy, Rafael Nadal, as I throw the cards and get them all over the place. But he ended up on the stack, so how about that? So these 4 top tennis players, I almost said golfers. The tournament module here is very similar to what you'd see in History Maker Golf if you've ever played that before. We're going to set these top tennis players aside because what's going to happen is we're going to randomly assign the remaining tennis players into 4 groups that are then going to be split into 2. And then we're going to be shuffling one of each of those top 4 tennis players into each bracket so that in theory you wouldn't have top tennis players playing against each other towards the beginning of the tournament as normal. You would end up seeing things be seeded in a way that they would face off later on in the tournament because there's a likelihood that they would be moving on. So I'm going to shuffle these up here real quick. We have a remaining 60 cards in here, so obviously you cannot split 60 into 8 or 60 by 4. Can you? No. Yes. Duh. 60 by 4 is going to end up being 15. Why can't I do this? All of a sudden, 60 divided by 4. Oh my goodness, my brain. I know how to do this, everyone. I'm good at math. 10 and 5, 15 a piece. So we're looking at 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, 4, 9, 2, 3, 4. And then we are going to take one of each of these tennis players and shuffle them into each one of the decks. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to give each of these stacks a nice shuffle. Not that I'm a great shuffler. And I have all the cards in penny sleeves. The new printing of these cards at the size they are perfect for a regular old baseball card penny sleeve. Or you could use a collectible card game or board game protective sleeve, depending on how it is you want to protect your cards, if you want to protect them. I'm going to split these in two. Do the same thing down here in section 3. And what we're setting up here is what they call early rounds here on this tennis chart. The way early rounds work is you're going to roll 2 dice for each one of these substacks. So we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And inside of those, you're going to take the number of the 2 dice. They are 2 D6s, 6-sided dice. And you're going to read them in ascending order. So if you rolled a 6 and a 1, it would be 16. If you rolled a 3 and a 4, it would be 34. You find the specific number on the chart down here on the left, and then you just read from left to right. So there's 3 steps that can happen during the early rounds. Step 1, if it instructs you to do so, is to just randomly draw a set number of tennis players from that stack. Typically, I will just take off the top of the stack, and those tennis players move on. In some cases, you're getting all 4 of your tennis players from the top of the stack randomly. In some cases, you're getting none. All the way up from 0 to 4. Step 2, you're checking surface. So of the remaining tennis players that have not been randomly selected, you're going to go through and pull out all of the tennis players from that stack that match the type of court that you're playing on. In this game, you've got the options of clay, hard, and grass, and you make that decision prior to the tournament starting. So today, for the fun of it, we're going to say that these tennis players are playing on hard. I've not pre-looked at the cards to see how that's going to work out for them, but we're going to be playing on a hard court. During step 2, you're checking against the surface, and you're going to pull out all of the tennis players that match hard. If there is exactly the right amount, great. If there's not, you're going to pull all the tennis players out that do match, and then randomly select from those tennis players. So on this case, if we had rolled a 12 and it says draw 2, you're going to go find all of the tennis players that play a hard and randomize if you need to. If when you're doing your surface selection, if there are no players that match the quality, then you're going to flip them all back over and then randomly select in the same way that you did in step 1. If there is 1, you're going to set that person aside and then randomly select to get back to the number that you need to be at. And then if there are too many, you're going to shuffle up the ones that are too many, select the ones that are randomly select from the remaining tennis players that are there. And then your last column is top players. If you need to pull from there, you're going to look at all the tennis players that are left in that stack, and you're going to pull out the top players based on their rating there in the upper right-hand corner. So let's go through and do this very first early rounds section, and then we'll move on to the middle rounds, because this early rounds should give us a set of 4 in each of these stacks, which when combined are going to give you 8 total in each 1, 2, 3, 4 section, which will give us 32 tennis players for the middle rounds of our tournament. So our first roll here is a 1 and a 6. So we're looking here at 16. We are randomly selecting 2 tennis players from this stack. We got Caroline Wozniak and Stefan Edberg are going to be in that stack. And then we're pulling 2 from the surface that match. And in this case, we actually have, so coming out of the tournament, not qualifying, are Svetlana Kuznetsova, Juan Martin Del Potro, Guillermo Villas, and they are not going to be, they didn't move on. We have 3 tennis players here in this case, and it's Pete Sampras, Monica Seles, and Serena Williams, all on hard. When you're playing point by point, the underlined qualities matter on the Serena Williams card. See if you can get it to read without blurring too much. Notice she's got underlined. When you're selecting for the tournament, the underline does not matter. So in this case, we are randomly shuffling. We're going to get 2 tennis players out of this to move on to the round of 32. We got Monica Seles, and we got Serena Williams, and unfortunately, Pete Sampras did not qualify. Moving on to the second substack of section 1. We're looking at 34. We're drawing 1 random. I do not know how to read that name. Arantxa Sanchez Vicario, 3B. We're looking at 34 still. We're going to draw 1 for surface. So we're going to find out how many people have hard in here. 2. So we're randomizing from these 2. And it is Jimmy Connors. And then we are looking at the top 2 of the top players left in this group. So based on their overall ratings, we're looking at a 2B of Boris Becker moving on. And we're going to have to randomize between these 2 3B tennis players. Stan Smith, Michael Chang, and Jim Courier don't make it, but we are selecting between Hana Monlikova and Andy Roddick. All right, here we go. And this one, Andy Roddick, is moving on. So this is going to make up our first set here of 8. Moving on to our next group. We're looking at a 12, which is draw 1 randomly. I think I shuffled all these, but if I didn't, let's give them a shuffle. One more time for the, posterity's sake. All right, we're looking at a 12. Let's read that one more time. Draw 1 random. Margaret Court. Draw 2 for surface. We've got 2 for surface. Novak Djokovic and Yvonne Lendl are moving on. And then we need 1 top player, so we don't even need to randomize it. We are looking at Martina Hingis coming along as a 2B because she was the top tennis player. Not moving on is John Newcomb, Petra Kvitova, Amelie Mauresmo, and Gabriella Sabatini. Working on those names. All right. Next one, we got another 12. So we're looking at 1 random. 1 random. Whoop-ha! Mats Willander. We got 2 surface we got to pull. So we got 2 hards here. Andre Agassi and Chris Evert. And then we're looking at 1 top player. Our top player in this case is Maria Sharapova, a 2C. Not coming along, Yannick Noah, Leighton Hewitt, Ken Rosewall, and Arthur Ashe. Let's see, did I shuffle these? I think so, but we'll give them another shuffle. Next group is a 45. Draw 1, draw 2, pick 1. Draw 1. Yvonne Goolagong Cawley from Australia. And then surface. Ooh, we got a ton of hard in here. Look at all these tennis players that are on the hard surface. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And some of them are big name players. Lindsay Davenport, Kim Clijsters, Roger Federer, Rod Laver, and John McEnroe. And in this case, only 2 are coming along. Our 2 coming along are 1, Lindsay Davenport and Roger Federer. And then we're supposed to bring 1 that is the top rated, and it is Mr. John McEnroe coming along. Next subgroup is a 26. So in 26, we actually have none that are random. We're just looking for surfaces. So we are randomizing between Martina Navratilova, sure, and Rafael Nadal. All right, we're going to shuffle up. I've lost track, hopefully. Here we go. And our tennis player that's coming along from this is Rafael Nadal. But in this... Oh, you know what? I did not put these people back here. In this case, it doesn't matter because since it's the 26, we're also bringing along the top 3 in this group. So, Bjorn Borg comes along. Navratilova comes along. And we're bringing Ms. Venus Williams, Jennifer Capriati, Stan Wawrinka, Iga Swiatek, and Kie Nastase from Romania do not come along. So here are our 8 for this group. 2 more for the early rounds. A 26. So we're looking at the same thing as last time. We're looking for anybody with a hard. Billie Jean King is coming. And then we're looking at the 3 top in this group. And it is... Virginia Wade is a 3C. And we have a 5-way tie for 4 A's. So unfortunately, Jurlitis not coming along. But we are going to select 2 from this group of 5 that have qualified. Here we go. It is 1, Yevgeny Kafelnikov. That sounds right. And Gustavo Kuerten. Unfortunately, we got Mary Pierce, Victoria Azarenka, and Naomi Osaka are out. And our last group here for the early rounds. 14. Drawing 3 based on surface. So, we've only got Steffi Graf as one of them. There are no other hards in here. So we're going to randomly select to fill in the rest of the surface players. Simona Halep of Romania and Jana Novotná from Czechoslovakia. And we're looking at 1 top tennis player. It is Mr. Andy Murray. So, our round of 32 is set. And from there, we actually move on now here to the middle rounds, which is this section here on the chart. So we're going to combine those stacks like we did. So we've got 32 players, 4 players from each in the 8, or yes, I got that right. So we're going to combine them. So we got 4 stacks, and we're going to do the same type of deal. Step 1 is we pull a player. It depends on the chart. Some of them say that they move on to the round of 16 chart. Some of them say that they move on here as quarterfinalists. If you are playing with 50 or less players, you can go directly to middle rounds. You don't actually have to do the early rounds part. But in our case, today we ran with 64, so we went through that early rounds part. So there's a part that I'm still wrapping my head around, but we'll worry about it when it comes to it. So we're going to take a look here at this top group. We're going to shuffle it up. Let's not look at those cards. We are in the middle rounds. We are looking to get from 32 down to a smaller number of players. Between 8 and 16, essentially. So, we have our tournament all pulled and shuffled. I'm going to roll on this chart. On this chart, we have 4 steps to follow. You'll see different things like random or surface or top player that are very similar to what we saw over there in steps 1, 2, and 3 over in the early rounds. If you get someone that ends up saying round of 16, we'd end up going through one of the other modules like for the set or no rally to be able to figure out what ends up happening with that tennis player. So here we go. We've got first set, step 1. It is a 13. We're looking for surface. So in this group, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tennis players that are good on hard. So we're taking 1 tennis player out of this group. And then we're going to take our top player out of this group. All right, so we have top is Stefan Edberg. Our step 2 is to pull a, I forget what number I rolled, 13. So we're looking for the top player out of this group. That top player is Serena Williams. So not moving on into our next set of quarterfinals, I guess, in this case, is Andy Roddick, Sanchez Vicario, Wozniak, Becker, Sellers, and Jimmy Connors. Boom. And in this case, Serena Williams is the lead, and Edberg would be our underdog. Field 2. Here we go. It's a 56. Surface, surface. So we're looking for hard and hard and hard. And hard. Unfortunately, Margaret Court, Martina Hingis, Maria Sharapova, and Mats Wilander are out. And we're looking at 2 surfaces for the quarterfinals here. So we're shuffling them up. And our quarterfinalists are Chris Evert versus Novak Djokovic. And in this case, it is Djokovic versus Evert. Group 3. We have a 56. So we're doing the same thing. Surface and surface. Hard, 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 hard. Woo! Bjorn Borg, Venus Williams, and Gulagan Cauley are out. And we are shuffling between Federer, Navratilova, Nadal, Davenport, and McEnroe. Look at all these tennis greats. 1, Navratilova. And 2, Rafael Nadal. So it's fascinating. So far, we've got 1As in each of these groups, and essentially they've been pretty random. That is pretty funny. I think it's funny. You may not, but. And our last group here, we are. Hopefully we get one with a round of 16 in it. That's a 44. We did. Look at that. We got random. And then we're going to go to a set to figure out who the last one getting in is. Our random tennis player is Billie Jean King. So the way that the round of 16 for that second player ends up working is they give us step 3 and 4. We're going to pick 2 more tennis players, and they're going to play in a match to figure out who the player is that's going to face off against Billie Jean King. So our random player is Andy Murray versus our remaining top player. In this case, it is Steffi Graf. So we have finished our early and middle rounds in the tournament. And we are going to flip here to for the set. So we know that Serena Williams and Stefan Edberg are going to face off. We know Rafael Nadal and Martina Navratilova are going to face off. And we know that Djokovic and Chris Evert are going to face off. And we know Billie Jean King has competition coming from one of these two. On this cool two-sided board, is our tennis court. If you didn't watch the learning video that I put together the other day, just as a quick short version, the better tennis player always goes on the left in the white section. The underdog always goes on the right in the darker section of the board. And what we're essentially going to do today, we're not doing any point-by-point play. We're just going to fast forward through the way these games play out, essentially simming ourselves a tennis tournament. Right now, we're using for the set. What that does is gets you to the point where we have a status for our set that we're playing. And right now, this whole tournament is going to be 1-set matches. Obviously, that benefits moving through a fictional setting, but that's what we're doing today. You end up, the way that for the set works, in case you didn't watch that learning video, you roll the dice, read them in ascending order, just like we did for the tournament, and they ask you to check and compare qualities between the tennis players. So if we rolled, in this case, an 11 and it was forehand and surface, we'd be looking at each of the players to figure out which of the qualities their cards have. I realize there's a real bad shine. Steffi Graf has forehand, and she has surface of hard in this case. You would also be checking for underlines. If it's underlined, like we had hinted at before, it would count as an extra pip. So we're looking at forehand, which is 2 for Steffi Graf, hard, which is 2 for Steffi Graf, and she's good to go in this example. But we're going to roll and see how this plays out for them. This is going to give us a status in our game. It is a 25. We're looking at backhand and endurance. So on these best of cards, let's use Billie Jean King here for just a moment. The little icon over here on the left indicates the type of court that the tennis player is quality on with these different skill sets. So if it's a star, it's any and all surfaces. But notice she's got this little grass-like symbol for volley. The volley trait only applies if she's playing on a grass court. So if we were using this surface check for Billie Jean King and we weren't playing on grass, she would not be able to claim that she has the volley trait. Lots and most of these, since we got a lot of very, very, very good of the greats, comparatively speaking, most of them have stars, so it doesn't matter the surface that they're playing on, they get the trait. So in this case, we rolled a 25. We're looking for backhand and endurance. Steffi Graf has a backhand and an underlined endurance, so she has a 3. Andy Murray has a backhand and a regular endurance, so in this case, Steffi Graf has the advantage. It's a 1 quality advantage. Down the middle of this chart, we're looking for matching qualities. 1 player with a 1 quality advantage gives a small advantage. 2 quality advantage is moderate, and 2 or more than 2 is a large advantage. In this case, we're talking about a small advantage. So we're going to roll our dice and add the values up this time. That is a 10. The advantage player leads this set 5-1. So right now we are looking at a 5-1 advantage for Steffi Graf. 5-1 in this match. So, like I said, we're not doing any point by point today. We are actually going to go and do the no rally to finish up this match. This chart up here at the top asks you, is it the favorite leading or the underdog leading? And then in each of these columns, you've got the different set types. So it's a 5 games to 0, 5 games to 1, 2, 3, 4. In this case, we know that it is a 5-1 match. So we're going to end up rolling the dice to add them up and then follow across to that column to tell us what the end result is of this match. In a case of 5-1, basically Graf is going to win unless we roll snake eyes, and there's a chance that it could be an unpredictable outcome. So, Steffi Graf, that is a 26. I just clicked on something and I don't know what I did, but it's okay. Mouse, go over here. Woo. 26. Or I'm sorry, we add them up. That is a 6. And in this case, Steffi Graf wins 6-3. And now we know how our tournament is going to match up. So, we are on to the quarterfinals. Andy Murray has lost. And we're going to go through that same process that we just went through for the set and then for no rally. Like I said, we're only doing 1 set matches, but you could go through and do more as you see fit. So, we have in our first quarterfinal match, is there one here that looks more interesting than another? Not really. We ended up with top seeds across the board in almost everything with the exception of Edberg. We have Serena Williams, a 1A, facing off against Stefan Edberg, a 2B. Edberg is the underdog, and we're going to roll. We're looking at a 16. In this case, we are looking at forehand and savvy. Serena Williams is an underlined forehand and a single savvy, so she's got 3. Unfortunately for Edberg, he does not have forehand, but does have a double savvy. So we're talking about a 3-2 advantage. Small advantage. Add them together, that's a 6. We're looking at the advantage player leads 5-4 on this set. Serena Williams leads 5-4 on this final column. No rally. We're looking at a 5. And we have ourselves an unpredictable outcome because it came in with a question mark. So we come down here and we're going to roll again on the quality chart over on the side. It operates the very similar way to what we saw over on the for the set option. So we are reading them in ascending order. It's a 56. We're looking at, oh boy, endurance and savvy. Serena Williams has a single endurance and a single savvy, where Edberg has a single endurance and a double savvy. So Edberg actually has the small advantage. And we're going to add up the values of our next roll. It is a 7. Advantage wins the tiebreak. So the small advantage went to Stefan Edberg, and the advantage wins the tiebreak, and Stefan Edberg wins and takes Serena Williams out of the tournament. Woo! Now, there's something I should have mentioned, but because everybody kind of came out here basically identical, you would have the ability to go back and reseed once you get down to your final 8 tennis players. If you were playing a world where they had world rankings, you could reseed them that way, or just rank them based on what their numbers say in the upper right-hand corner. On to Rafael Nadal versus Martina Navratilova. Come on, dice. We are looking at a 35. Volley and endurance. So Nadal has no volley. He's got double endurance. The volley is because it's on grass. We're not playing on grass. So we're looking at double endurance for Nadal. We've got double volley for Navratilova and double endurance. So that is a 4-2. We're talking about a moderate advantage for Navratilova. Next roll, we add them up. That is a 6. Advantage player leads 5-4. So in this case, the underdog is leading the match. Navratilova is leading 5-4. So here's our column. It is a 8. Whoop. And the underdog wins 7-5. Martina Navratilova moves on. And Rafael Nadal has been knocked out of the tournament. Fascinating. Next. We're doing this in very short order, like I said. Novak Djokovic versus Chris Evert. Serbia versus the United States. Let's reset our games. And the roll. That is a 26. We're looking at backhand and savvy. Djokovic has a double backhand. And Chris Evert has double backhand and double savvy. We're looking at another moderate advantage for the underdog. That is a 9. Advantage player leads 5-1. Djokovic is so on the ropes, it's not even funny. 5-1 underdog. That is an 11. And Chris Evert wins 6-1, taking out Djokovic. So as of now, we've had 3 1As in this tournament, 2 men and a woman, and they're all out. Crazy. And our final match in the quarterfinals is Steffi Graf versus Billie Jean King. Let's switch back to our 4 of the set. That is a 44. We are looking at footwork and surface. So in this case, Steffi Graf has footwork underlined 2, surface of hard 2. She's got a 4. Versus Billie Jean King's footwork that's underlined and hard that's 3. It is a small advantage, Steffi Graf. That is a 6. Advantage player leads 5-4. So Graf has a lead. She needs one more game to move on to the finals. We're looking at a 7. 5-4 in a 7. 7. And we have another 7-5 wins. Steffi Graf moves on. Billie Jean King has been eliminated. Let's head down to our semifinals. Well, I was going to sing the Olympics music, but there's got to be some sort of music. So, in order, if we're going to reseed, we got Steffi Graf, Chris Evert, Martina Navratilova, and Stefan Edberg. Given these 2 different cards, I'm going to say that Navratilova is a better player than Chris Evert just because she's got 5 qualities versus his 4, or versus her 4. Even though they are, plus Navratilova has the ability to have an ace where Evert does not. So that's how we're going to rank them. It is going to be Graf versus Edberg and Evert versus Navratilova, and let's knock this one out now. You know what? Let's go grab a microphone. Let's go to a best of 3 now that we're here in the semifinals. Why not? Let's drag this out a little bit. All right. For this set, boom, that is a 12. Forehand and backhand. Navratilova with 1 forehand. Chris Evert with 2 backhand. We're looking at an advantage, small advantage for Evert. And that is an 8. Advantage player leads 5-3. Evert has the advantage in set 1 over Navratilova. That is an 8 for the underdog. 8 in a 5-3 setup. That is 6-3 for Evert And Everett is currently winning 1-0. Qualities for set 2. Looking at 13. Forehand and volley. 1, 2, 3. None. Everett's got nothing. That is a 3 quality advantage. We're talking large advantage. And that is a 9. Advantage player leads 5-0. Or Navratilova has taken it to Everett and put him in a corner. 5-0. We are talking 10. That is a 6-0 shutout, and it is 1-1 in terms of games. 7-5. I'm sorry. Yeah, was it 7-5? 6-3? Something like that. And 6-0. And we are... Winner moves on to the finals of the big battle of the sexes. It is a 12 forehand and backhand. We got a single forehand for Navratilova, a underlined backhand for Everett. So it is a 2-1 advantage, and Everett, the underdog, has the advantage. We're looking at a 10. 5-1 advantage. Navratilova is on the ropes. 5-1. And the rally is 7. 6-3. And Chris Evert moves on to the finals, defeating Martina Navratilova. And now we have Steffi Graf versus Stefan Edberg. The battle of the Steffs. Best of 3. Looking at 26. Backhand and savvy. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Stefan Edberg has the advantage. Boom. That is a 5. Advantage player trails 5-4. So in this case, the small advantage wasn't enough of an advantage, and Steffi Graf goes into the first game looking to win 6-4. Or not game, set. Set. We're looking 5-4 for the favorite leading. Boom. That is a 9. And that is a 6-4 win for Steffi Graf in the first set. Second set. A 16. Forehand and savvy. 3-2. That is a small advantage for Graf. That's a 10. Advantage player leads 5-1. Steffi Graf has a stranglehold on this match. Looking at 5-1, unless it's snake eyes. And it's not. It is a 7, and that set goes 6-2 to Graf. Stefan Edberg has been eliminated, and we have an all-ladies final in the big battle of the sexes. Steffi Graf of Germany, a 1A, is going to face off against Chris Evert of the United States. Blah, 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 blah. Here we go. Guess what? We're going to make this a... No, it's a best of 3. Best of 3. We're going to stick with that. Here we go. Reset our games. If you haven't gotten it, we're going to go through this one more time. Qualities. We read them in ascending order. That is a 25. 25. Backhand and endurance. We're checking the card. Graf has a regular backhand and an underlined endurance, giving her a value of 3. Evert has a underlined backhand and an underlined endurance. That's a 4. Small advantage Evert. When you're setting the status, you add the dice together, which is a 9. The advantage player leads 5-2. So since Evert had the advantage, it is a 5-2. And Steffi Graf is down 5-2. Now we move on to the no rally chart to fast forward through this set to make sure that we are finishing it properly. We could go point to point, but not today. That is a 6. That is a 6-4 win. Everett currently has the first set. Can Steffi Graf pull off? I can't say an upset. Can she pull back tie? Here we go. That is a 10. No, I'm sorry, a 55. We're looking at endurance and surface. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There is no advantage. They are even. Steven, that is a 10. The higher seed leads the set 5-2. So in this case, Graf has the advantage. 5-2. And our no rally play is 8. And Steffi Graf slams it past Everett to win the set 6-3. And we are tied 1-1 going into this best of 3 final set for the Sports Simulation Spectator Open. Here we go. We're looking at can't see it, but there it is. It is a 3. So we're looking at a 34. Volley and footwork. Graf has no volley, but has footwork underlined. Everett has no volley, but footwork underlined. So they are even again, 2-2. That is a 8. The higher seed leads the set 5-4. And here we go. Our no rally set 5-4. What's going to happen? It is a 10. And Steffi Graf wins 6-4. Steffi Graf is our winner. She has won the Sports Simulation Spectator Big Battle of the Sexes, defeating Chris Everett in 3 sets. So that's how the tournament module works. Hopefully that makes some sense for you. Like I said, this was using the all-time greats set that you can get on the Plaay.com website. We intentionally, quote unquote, broke the rules as the tennis players are not rated to play against each other. But in this case, it didn't matter. Steffi Graf came out on top over Chris Everett, and that's the way that history is going to play out. So thanks for joining me here today. If you have any questions, comments, please feel free to put it down in the comments below. I love the likes and subscribes. It lets you know when we're playing more tennis, when we're playing football, when we're playing baseball, stock car racing, and golf, and basketball for that matter. So feel free to come back here to the Sports Simulation Spectator, talk with me here, Mike, and we'll talk to you later. See ya.